Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Rivera Urban Homestead. It is Saturday, July 25th, and today I want to talk about compost. Now there are all different ways to compost stuff. I mean, from just making a pile, wetting it and turning it every week, to putting it in those fancy tumblers you could buy for like $300, all different kinds. So let's go over a few different things that you need to ask yourself when it comes to making a compost pile. Number one, how quick do you need the compost? Number two, how much work and how much time do you want to put into making the compost? These are important questions because if you want it real quick, you need to get the nitrogen, the carbon ratios correct. You need to have it moist all the time. You need to aerate it by turning it all the time if it's a pile, or if it's in those tumblers, you still got to wet it and turn it all the time, and that just speeds up the process. If you kind of want to be more passive about it, you could literally just make a pile and leave it alone, and it'll do its thing, but it might take a while. It might take a year or something before it breaks down, but it'll break down because in nature that it just happens. You can't stop compost from happening. It's part of nature. That's what happens. The bacterias, the bugs, it breaks it down, it returns it to the earth. That's just the magic of nature, guys. So let's go over some of the ways I've composted in the past and how I'm going to compost in the future. So basically, I started out with just a couple of pallets, made a little bin, so to speak, right on the ground, added my grass clippings, my straw, and then started adding my food scraps in there. And what I would do with the food scraps is I would put my pitchfork in the middle of the pile, lift it up, and throw the food scraps inside the pile so you don't get rodents attracted to it or anything else, raccoons, stuff like that. Now, that was a good system. If you want to speed that system up though, you need to, again, make sure it's moist. You need to always turn it. So every weekend pretty much you have to be out there turning that pile, making a new pile. And if you have a big one, that can take some time and it's a little bit of labor. Hold on, I got a big old jet going overhead. That was a nice jet. But anyway, so you can make the old-fashioned pile and get it rolling, and if you don't want it real quick, you could just leave it like that. The thing I have issues with here is I still get rodents attracted to it. The other way I compost is in my chicken run. I throw grass clippings, I throw straw back in there. The chickens live in there, they dig it up, they poop in there, so they have high nitrogen manure. So the straw with the manure, it really makes a good compost. Now what I was doing is I was putting food scraps in there as well. I stopped doing that though because again, if they don't eat it, even though it's out there getting composted, the rats come, the mice, and they're attracted to it, and then you start getting an overflow of rodents, and you don't want that. So I have stopped doing the food kitchen scraps in there. They still get their lettuces and their plant material. That's fine, but nothing out from the kitchen. Before we get to the side of the house, let me show you another way you can compost in the garden. And this is what I was doing today. I was just weeding the beds and dropping it right in there and let it lay there and compost right in. Like over here with the strawberries, just weeding all the weeds and laying them back down right on top of the ground, and they'll naturally just compost in, slowly feed your plants. It's a win-win situation, and it's easy. You don't have to start a pile or nothing. You could just compost right into the raised beds. Another way you can compost is dig a trench, throw all your kitchen scraps in the trench, or your grass clippings or whatever you want to put in there, and then cover it back up, and then it'll compost right into your bed. And then you can start another trench and dump all your kitchen scraps in there and fill it back up. So you can compost right into the beds, and you wouldn't have to do a pile, you wouldn't have to buy the expensive tumbler, nothing. You could go right in the bed if you want to. Alright, now let's go around the corner here to where my compost pile is, or where my composting area is going to be. So this is what we're cleaning up today. We're going to get it all squared away, get another Rubbermaid, and start a new pile. So let's check it out. Okay, one thing I want to point out is I am going to be putting the Rubbermaids directly over all this already broke down leaves. There's compost already on the ground naturally, because I used to compost right here. But all of this straw and stuff, see that? There's all kinds of roly-polies and millipedes and all kinds of stuff. So the Rubbermaids are going to be right on top of that with the big holes, so all the insects can just get up in there and get the process going. Over here is some of my leaf mold I'm making in the black bags, and look at underneath how it's, look underneath the bag. Look at that. Look at all the mold and the fungi growing underneath it. When you do leaf mold like this in the black bags, that's another great thing to make. It is good for your woodier plants like trees and stuff like that, because it's a more of a fungal one. Where this, in the Rubbermaids, as we move it around and stuff, it's going to be more a biological one versus a fungal breakdown, which is good for your vegetables. But anyway, we're going to put these Rubbermaids right on top of here, where everything in the great Mother Earth can go right up into those bands and start working the pile. I really like that top layer of dead vines that I actually made. Not by choice, it just happened. I stuck a bunch of them on top and it formed a nice little cover. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'll do with these on the new Rubbermaid, the ones that I just pulled off of all here. So let's look and see how this compost is doing right now. It's been raining a lot, but it ain't too bad. Huh. I was wondering where that towel went. Looking good. Having a beautiful breakdown. Oh yeah. Boy, I tell you what, that stuff is looking good. Breaking down nicely. You can still identify eggshells. Obviously the big broccoli stems, those will take a little bit longer, but there's a lot of roly-polies in there. They're just running around, eating everything. It's all good. Composting nicely. And it looks like more is on the way. Alright guys, check it out. I got my new Rubbermaid. Well, it's a Craftsman. As you can see, I put holes in the bottom, big ones, and littler ones along the sides, just to keep air in there. See that? Right. Drop it down. That's a 40 gallon. That's the biggest one they had at Lowe's. I almost didn't buy it because right next to it was the 50 gallon slot, but none were there. So I was like, maybe I should wait, but nah, I'm not waiting. So I got this one. We'll just make do with it. And we have plenty of room if we want to start another one, a bigger one later. And again, with those holes in the bottom, it'll make direct contact with the soil, and then all the worms and everything else can come up through it and continue to process what I put in here. And it has a nice top. I can seal away all the kitchen scraps from the rodents. And again, over on this side, I'm going to continue to bag leaves and just stack them up. Stack them up. So we're going to have a bunch of leaf mold bags right here working. We're going to have these two Rubbermaids, and we have room if we move the wheelbarrow for another big Rubbermaid, another 50 gallon. So that's going to be the new system. Tomorrow we're going to mow. We're going to get straw and chicken manure from the composting chicken run, and we're going to get a bunch of leaves and we're going to mix it all together and start this pile, and then we'll start adding food scraps to that one. I'm not adding anything else to that one. We're going to let that one finish cooking and it'll be done. It'll be ready to go in the beds. Like I said, the rains were coming. Tomorrow morning I'll get out here and mow early. That way we can get that compost bin going. I love storms. It is so peaceful. Ooh, there was some wicked lightning right there. Water, so I'm just standing out back by my back door. Have the back door open. The doggies are just chilling with me in the hallway. I just sit out here and watch the storms, guys. So peaceful. But until then, while I'm stuck inside, I am taking just some of my mail that I don't need but has my information on it, and I'm just shredding it, and I'll put that in with the compost because worms love paper. Good morning, guys. Sunday, July 26th. Let's go feed the chickens and start getting that compost run going. Hi, babies. Want some lettuce? I tell you what, we got a lot of rain last night. I'm letting the grass dry a little bit in the front before we mow. So until then, let's start gathering stuff around here that we can put in the compost bin. Okay, the first material I'm going to get is some of this compost that's in here and mix it with some of the straw. And that'll give the bottom layer of that compost bin a little bit of air in it. It won't be just like solid soil or something like that at the bottom, the compact. It's going to give it a little bit of air and a little bit of crevices for the creatures to come up from the earth and get into the box. And as I'm digging up this area, just look at this. This is the chickens composting in their run. Beautiful stuff. I'm going to mix that in. That's really going to activate the compost with what's ever in here. All the different biology that's already going on. It's going to be right in that bin. Okay, so I threw in the straw and the chicken run compost at the base. That's going to be my base coat. So that's a lot of carbon. It does have some chicken manure which makes nitrogen, but not a ton. So now what I'm doing, I have, let me turn you around real quick. I have all these vines that grow everywhere in my yard, but you can rip them off the fence and everything so easily. So we're going to start using that as some of our green matter for nitrogen, and it'll clean up my fence line. Now we're just going to break it up as much as possible and throw that in for the green layer. Okay, so there's the first two layers. First layer was straw chicken manure. Second layer, just the green vines that grow wild around here. And now for the third layer, I've been collecting leaves in just one corner over by my back porch where they always fall. So let me go get some of them. Okay, before we add the third layer, which is leaves, let's get it watered in a little. Alright, and the leaves, like I say, I've been collecting them, just sweeping them into the corner by my barbecue in the back porch. And it's been raining a lot, and there's been a pile. So literally the leaves are already breaking down. Check it out. Look at that. Already starting to turn black, getting slimy, getting all bacteriaed. So another good thing to add right away is already started compost. It'll just bring in all those microorganisms quicker. Alright. And those are so wet from last night's rain, I don't need to water those in. This frog's a little mad at me. I took the black container out of there. And now he's like, yo, where's my house? It's gonna get hot and dry. Sorry, little froggy, I'll put it back for you. There you go. Your topper is back. I'll put some leaves in there to cover it up for you. Alright. Next thing I'm adding is coffee grounds and kitchen scraps. At work, for the last couple days, I've been making up a little box with a plastic bag in there. And the people that we have make coffee, I've been asking them to save the coffee grounds and the filters for me. So I have 2 boxes of that, and then just some kitchen stuff on top. Alright, so coffee grounds. And the filters. And this just has random kitchen stuff. And coffee grounds and filters as well. Now I think I'm going to go get a little bit more straw from the chicken coop and put it in there, some of the broke down stuff. Alright, so I put a little more straw, a little more chicken manure, partially composted in the chicken run. Now I got to go mow. I'll put a bag or two in there of the grass clippings. The rest go in the chicken run for the chickens. And that's it though, guys. We got a full tote already. I really wish they had the 50-gallon versus the 40, but it is what it is. I got to make do. So I'm not going to video me mowing and sweating and all that crud. I'm just going to get it mowed. I'm going to get some green grass clippings in the top, and then throughout the week I will just open it up, add my kitchen scraps to the top of it, close it up, and every weekend we'll check it. So there you go, guys. That is how I am going to be doing my composting at the moment. And see, this one has holes all around the sides and the bottom. This Rubbermaid over here does not. So we'll experiment, see how they both work together. So yeah, guys, hope y'all like this video on composting. Like I say, there's several different ways to do it. Just pick something to do. At least start getting it all put together somewhere. It'll compost naturally. Then you can worry about how fast you want it, how slow, how much work you want to put in. But anyway, this is how I'm going to do it. We'll see how it works. All I know is great compost out in the garden will make a huge difference, and I need more of it. So we're going to keep going with this composting. Let me go mow. One last thing I almost forgot to add was all the paper shred that I did last night in the garage. I saw the bag in there. I was like, ooh, let me get it in there. So that's on top of the grass clippings. Everything's nice and wet. We're going to close it up. I'll add food scraps the rest of the week, and we'll check on it next weekend, guys. Y'all have a good work week, and we'll see you next time.